Ashley, thank you for joining me today. So super excited to talk with you about Pizza Hut, which is great. Um, so really want to chat about AI and the customer consumer engagement. I think Pizza Hut has been a brand that has been really innovating for a long time, right? Even thinking back to stuffed crust from 30 or so years ago, right? This has been something that the brand has been constantly innovating. I think other people are starting to jump on this now, making it seem like it's a new thing, but again, just speaks volumes to Pizza Hut, right? And what you guys have been doing and kind of breaking into new things for a long time, right? Even from the customer loyalty side. Like personally, I am a lifelong Pizza Hut fan because I grew up with this Book It program that Pizza Hut rolled out a long time ago.
Me too. Me too.
I loved it. I don't see it today at my
Yeah.
kids' school. I'm a little disappointed.
Yeah.
We have to get that set up. But it was something that was really exciting, right? It got every kid into this and everyone became this, I have to do this because I have to get this at the end of the day. And that kind of built that real consumer loyalty from an early age, which is really interesting. But now thinking about today, right? Fast forwarding quite a bunch from there. How's Pizza Hut thinking about this today, right? Like AI is now changing so much in everything that we're doing these past couple of years and everything going forward. So how are you guys thinking about integrating that into loyalty programs and how you really speak to the consumers now?
Yeah. I mean, thanks for the question and really insightful because you're exactly right. Innovation is who we are at our core. We've been innovating for 30 years of stuffed crust. You Book It was really a loyalty program from the very beginning before loyalty programs were a thing. And over the past several years, we walked away from CRM and loyalty a bit, deprioritized it as a brand as we were, focusing on other things. But now we're back. And this past year has been really about building up foundations and piloting and tiptoeing our way into what the future looks like for CRM and loyalty. And we've been piloting AI in CRM, and we're just getting started. But the goal is to leverage technology to drive relevance for our customers. Yeah, it's not to launch technology just to launch technology. It's how do we ensure that we're putting the right messages and the right products in front of people that want them, and ensure that then in return, of course, it's going to drive business results, but really it's about a customer-centric relevancy that we want to drive with our customers.
Yeah, no, 100%. I love that you're saying it that way too, because I think so many people think about it from just the kind of myopic view of I need to add AI everywhere, I need to add technology everywhere. It's what makes a difference to the customer, what makes a difference to the brand, and how are you really going to connect with them? So even on that note, right, like when it comes to merchandising and things like that, I think how that plays a role in the way you're creating dynamic offers, different opportunities, different pricing strategies that kind of go out to different consumers based on what they know, what they love about the brand.
Yeah, and I think AI is only as powerful as the data that you feed it. And you want to ensure that you're building the proper use cases to drive that relevancy. So what are the different, you need to understand your customer really well, and you need to understand what their motivations are, and find throughout the entire end-to-end customer journey, where are those moments where we can leverage the technology, whether that's in the web or app, or whether that's in a CRM communication or within the loyalty program itself. And so that's what we've been really focusing on, is where are those opportunities, and build a roadmap against that, and start to do some prioritization and some testing on a micro scale, and then so that we can really prioritize what are we actually going to leverage from a technology perspective to scale even further. And I'm really excited. I mean, we're just at the beginning stages and seeing really great results, and I'm excited about where it can take us.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it's almost interesting because there's like a balancing act that comes with that, right? And I think it's really great that you guys are thinking about this from a microscopic level, as you said, right? Think about it small because you don't know how it's going to impact everyone yet.
Yeah.
So I think that's, how do you think about even leveraging or hedging these bets or risks that the teams are taking when it comes to implementing something like an AI to really start doing some of that decisioning for the team?
Yeah, I mean, we started small in a couple ways. One, with a low risk audience. So we said, hey, what if we already had a CRM program that was reaching customers that were lapsing out of the brand?
Sure.
And so we had, we had offers an order of, just like you get from every brand. When you haven't been there a while, they're going to send you a small offer, then they're going to send you a bigger one, and then a bigger one. So we had, basic foundational CRM 101 journey. And then, but these are customers obviously that are lapsing out. So it's low risk in terms of we're not going to anger someone that's an active, loyal customer. They've already chosen to leave. So we said, hey, that's the right audience for us to start this out on. And with the hypothesis that if we actually drive more relevant communication to them, the right message, the right offer, the right time of day, the right day of week, that maybe we can win them back to give us another shot. And then we started with a small audience. We had, it was like 50-50 split. And where we started actually 10%. And then once that we knew the AI was working, then we rolled it up to 20%, then 30%. And we had a larger holdout. So we really just ensured that we kind of baby stepping our way into it and really looking at the results in addition to whether or not it drove transactions or whether or not it drove revenue. We also looked at, is it driving uninstalls? We wanted to look at the negative side effects as well as the positive to really understand its effectiveness in doing the job, and just had amazing results. And that gave us the business case and the knowledge that, okay, there's something there. This is working with this audience. I think we can expand this further.
I love that. No, and I think that's really exciting. And it kind of leads into this next question, which is those results that you are getting, which are really phenomenal. Sounds like you're seeing a lot of success and it's continuing to scale. How do you think about kind of positioning that in other aspects of the business, right? Like the learnings that you're finding from AI, like how is that coming into place with the advertising component or the media component optimizations, anything that the teams are really thinking about from a broad perspective? And even if it's going into something completely outside of the advertising world, right? Are there things that we're learning that are coming out of these new tests, these new insights that Pizza Hut is kind of bringing to the table that you can now deploy across other aspects of the business?
Yeah, I would say I would focus it in 3 buckets. One is the learnings that we're getting outside of the results.
Okay.
So some of the insights we got from just even this early POC were things like, our older customers prefer longer subject lines. And I guess they are at a higher level, but the types of messages that different customers preferred, when most customers preferred to receive an email, which wasn't the day that we thought would be the case. So just insights like that, we can take back from a larger business perspective to say, okay, what can we do with this insight to apply to the broader business? Sure. And then second, I think the second biggest takeaway from a business impact standpoint is the mindset shift that it creates for the team. It was really difficult to bring this technology, which none of us really knew a ton about. We had to learn, right? And so you're building skill sets and capabilities within the team of a test and learn mindset, being agile. How do you create more and more hypotheses to create more and more variables to feed the beast and feed the machine? And that's just a different skill set and mindset that is so critical in modern marketing to develop in a team, which is exciting for them to learn something new. And then I think the third biggest takeaway is just the importance of data infrastructure. Like, I'm a marketer. I don't want to talk for 15 minutes about data infrastructure, but and I don't understand it all. I don't have to. We have a center of excellence that is incredible. But the biggest takeaway for me is the importance of audience management and understanding and making sure that our data was clean. Because if we're going to add more and more data inputs and variables into these types of machines, it has to be really clean and really organized. So those are kind of the 3 areas I think that have had the broadest impact.
I love that. I think that's the point about the data being correct is the biggest component. And that's, one of the areas that I think about all the time. And I think a lot of marketers do as well, is it is really only as good as what's in that data set that it's pulling from, right? So that has to continue to grow, but it also needs to be aligned with something that makes sense for the brand. And even to that aspect too, I think, when we think about AI coming into business, right, and starting to just work its way into every aspect of what we do to help make everything a little bit better, a little bit easier, I think where we've seen a lot of success with it, in our organization, and I'm sure in others, is removing those time-consuming tasks, right?
Yeah.
How do we remove the remedial things that we can do more if we had that free time back, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a great use of it because it allows people to focus back on that creativity aspect, right?
Yeah.
Give them more time to think about the bigger picture ideas. But I think at the same time, it is sometimes getting used so quickly that it starts making that decisioning process
Mm-hmm.
for us. And a brand like Pizza Hut, it is so important to have this human element
Yeah.
component when you are thinking about what is the brand's story and where does it need to tell that story,
Yeah.
right? So how do you balance that today?
Yeah, and I would say a human element both externally and internally, to your point, because we tried personalization many years ago, where we had a lot of employees manually creating different segments, different messages for different segments, and at the end of the day, it just the ROI wasn't there for all of the investment to manually do personalization because the technology wasn't there yet, and so now it is. And so what we're looking at is, we're not spinning up a whole new team just focused on AI. It's how do we embed this in the work that we are already doing, to your point, to free up our team's time from a lot of the execution and analysis work to actually being able to come up with more creative ideas and hypotheses to put into the machine. And so and that's really most marketers want to do is come up with ideas and see if they work. They don't want to be like building out forms and submitting tickets. So I think that
I hope not. Nobody
no. I mean, if you do, like, let me know, because we still have a lot of that. So I think from an internal perspective, it like to your point, frees up time to do actually much more fun work. And then from a customer standpoint, I think as we think about what are the right use cases in which to use this technology, it's always important that we're extremely human customer centric.
Yes.
We want to find the points where it makes sense for us to be personalized and relevant, which is not the case in every single aspect of marketing, right? Where does it make sense for us to be hyper relevant to a customer? And how do we make sure that we're building the algorithm and the model in a way that's going to drive the most relevance to them, not build it in a way that's just going to give us business results and anger a bunch of people? We need to always stay customer centric in building it. And I think as we speak to ourselves a lot in business and marketing, that's really hard sometimes.
It is. Yeah. It becomes challenging. We get like in our own head.
It is. It's like, I need to deliver this KPI and I need to deliver this KPI. But ensuring you're building a culture around customer centricity becomes so essential when you start plugging in more and more tech.
Yeah. And now even so with the customer centricity, right? There's a big focus, and I think you're kind of addressing this already, which is there's a big focus on the existing customers, making sure that we're supporting them, personalization, right? All of that. I think a lot of brands start to go almost too far down that rabbit hole. They're not thinking about the new customers.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's always a big part of it too. So, as a major brand like Pizza Hut, like thinking of how do you focus completely on all those customers that you do have and the loyalty and making sure that you're continuing to build that relationship so that they continue to be lifelong partners of Pizza Hut. But at the same time, think about the broader group that is outside of that. Who are the new people that we can bring into that ecosystem?
Yeah, I think it starts with having an audience strategy. Like, you need to know who your core customers are and really understand them, understand the data, but also understand the psychographics, demographics of who they are, and then identify where your growth audiences are. So like having an audience strategy first and foremost is important. And then second, making sure that you have people that are responsible for those different things. So we recently restructured the team for, in part for that reason, to ensure that we had a team focused on CRM and loyalty, engagement, retention. How do we ensure that with Pizza Hut customers, we're keeping them engaged in the brand? We're identifying like what the favorite products they have, in driving engagement. But then we kind of pulled acquisition and bringing new customers. That's the job of actually multiple teams. We have a digital acquisition, someone responsible for digital acquisition. But then honestly, a lot of what our social team does is about acquisition. What message we have on media is about acquisition. So just ensuring that everyone knows what KPI that they're responsible for and is thinking about it that way, but all starting from the same audience framework and audience strategy, like, helps to achieve that objective.
Yeah, I love that. So I think we're close to time, but I do want to leave it with one more question. So for brands that are thinking about just starting to take on this journey, right, of introducing AI and newer, more advanced technology into their workflows, their creative processes, their branding, any advice that you would give to a new brand that is trying to kind of undertake this now?
Yeah, I would give 3 pieces of advice. 1, start to learn the tech yourself. Like, just there's a lot of courses out there. There's a lot
Quite a
of,
few.
watching this video. Like, just try to learn about it so you can speak
Yeah.
somewhat intelligently about it. And then it depends on where your business is and from a leadership perspective. I'm fortunate that at Yum, like, our top leaders are kind of bought in. And it's a strategic priority for Yum. So it's not a matter of if, it's when,
Sure.
how, let's make sure. And we meet weekly. Cross brand, we meet weekly, and we're sharing learnings with Taco Bell. Taco Bell's sharing learnings with us. We're sharing learnings with KFC. And so that having that system becomes really important. And we are collaborating on vendors and who are, what we're trying out. If your leadership isn't quite bought in yet and you need to build that business case, then my suggestion would start with the vendors that you have. A lot of MarTech vendors are actually building AI capabilities in their platforms. So, and they might need a brand to do a POC and to do a proof of concept of, hey, can you help us like prove this out? So I would say start there, rather than like investing in a new technology to bring in. Start with the tech that you already have and partner.
Like, don't reinvent the wheel. There's so
Don't
many people
reinvent the
starting
wheel.
this already
Yeah.
that you can tack on to so much of this already.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I couldn't
So
agree more.
those relationships with your partners become really important to start with.
Absolutely. No, I love that. I think all aspects of that are really beneficial. Having that leadership buy-in is extremely important, and the learnings that you're sharing across teams is incredibly important as well. But yes, there's tons and tons of marketing technology companies, advertising technology companies that are so far into building this already that there's a good chunk of the work that's already started, already halfway, already most of the way there.
Yeah.
Start working together with that.
And then
right?
you can build the
Love it.
business case,
Yeah.
and then you can understand, okay, how is it going to help the business? And then take it to leadership to say, hey, here's how I think this can help grow our business. And this is where we need to invest.
Absolutely. Well, Ashley, I think we're at time, but I do want to say thank you very much.
Yes,
This
of
was
course.
Appreciate it. And thank you.
Great.